Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to the Palmetto Weekend Holiday Special. I'm Jada Samuel, and for the next half hour, I'll be showcasing things to do and places to shop and eat in the Midlands this season. The holidays are a time to celebrate with family and friends, shop for the ones we love, give to those in need, make new traditions, and carry out the old ones. Historic Columbia emphasizes the importance of tradition every year during historic holidays. Take a look at how they celebrate the traditions from the past.
We are in one of the parlors of the Hampton Preston House, and we have it decorated circa 1850s. What we try to do with our two historic house museums that we have decorated for this season is move through time to show our visitors how Christmas has evolved, not only for Columbians, but for Americans as well. We really try to make things local and what Christmas would have been like for here in Columbia and Richland County in South Carolina. So what we try to do is look at the periodicals that were available to folks back then. For example, Harper's Weekly of 1860 has a great image on the front that shows all of the elements of the modern Christmas that we know today on it, and that they were popular by that time period. For example, it shows a family dining. Food was a big thing that was very important, not only to South Carolinians all during the course of the year, but also especially during Christmas. Fireworks, a tradition that goes way back in the 18th and 19th centuries. If folks didn't have firecrackers, which they could get imported from China, they were firing off muskets and pistols, make noise during the New Year's. And that's one of the other things that's interesting too, is it's the social season for a lot of the economically elite during this time period. Here at the Hampton Preston, we start off in a room that is circa 1820s. And one of the primary things we talk about in there is the poinsettia plant. Discovered by South Carolinian Joel Poinsett while ambassador to Mexico, brings it back. Immensely popular plant, blooms in the wintertime, nice red leaves, and that's one of the main reasons why red is a color that's popular for Christmas today. One of the other really important parts of the dining room, that is the next room, is the dining room table. It's set up to show a really impressive meal where a family is inviting friends, political allies over, entertaining them, showing off their wealth, not only through the silver that's used for serving, but also through the food that's on the table as well. Moving to another parlor we talk about how moving forward in time in the 1850s in particular, we start to see those elements of modern Christmas come into play. Gift giving, for example, not originally part of Christmas and the way it was earlier celebrated, when it was more of a religious holiday, kind of separate from the Santa Claus that we know today. But starting in the 1820s, Santa Claus is around. 'Twas the night before Christmas poem gets published, and then gifts start being given to children in particular, and then later on between spouses and then other family members. And then finally in the parlor that we're in right now, we're full-blown Christmas, as I mentioned before, that we recognize today. Christmas trees, stockings hung by the chimney with care. One of our family traditions that I never understood when I was a kid was getting an orange or an apple in my stocking. I didn't think that was a big deal. Back then I could have that almost all the time. But during the 19th century, those were considered really exotic things to get for Christmas and are really special. So kids, that's a family tradition that we have. I'm sure a lot of other folks here in South Carolina still carry that on today, and it goes back to this time period. Decorating these houses is always a process, and it starts several weeks before we open for our first Christmas tour. We have a very dedicated group of volunteers who, through their years of experience and know-how, are able to make each year a little different in our houses. So within the one theme that we're talking about of Christmas is Past, where you don't have a whole lot of, you can't just go buy things off the shelf, they're very creative in using things like artificial plants, but really their talent is evident when folks come to visit us during the holiday season.
One cannot imagine, unless one is a part of this, what a thrill it is to see not only children, but grown-ups come through and see the fruits of our labor. Because we do put our hearts into it, there are several of us who have done this for years and years together. We work well as a team, and all we want to see is your joy, your happiness, and maybe some education of the past.
Tour information and times can be found at historiccolumbia.org.